All right, good. Then welcome. You're building the real agent force for real people in Salesforce. Neil, Sahil, tell me, what are you building? What is your company? What's the size of the company? What are you doing? Tell me everything about it.
So yeah, I mean, just to very quickly talk about clientele, we're building a series of AI agents for legacy software, right? And we started with Salesforce, primarily to help sort of Salesforce professionals, automate a lot of their mundane tasks, a lot of manual work, as well as sort of have this AI companion that they can work with, almost all kinds of things like reasoning, brainstorming solutions. So pretty much anything they would like to need help with in Salesforce. So building a chat GPT like experience, it's a chat based agent. And yeah, I think that sums it up.
Are you gonna replace the Salesforce admins, or what's the goal of the software basically?
Not at all. To be honest, we kind of think of um, if when you look at Salesforce admins or developers, you need to kind of think of them like superheroes, right? Everybody in the team is always coming to them whenever something is broken. Nobody knows how to use a clunky software like Salesforce. So clientele happens to be more like a sidekick for these guys, where instead of doing all the mundane work, they can just hand it over to an AI agent that will do it for them.
And how big is the company? Did you raise some money? How is it? Are you post revenue? How's it working?
Yeah, so we started this around 2 years ago. We raised, this product, the company is older than that. We raised around $3.1 million from global investors. And we're around now close to 20 people, about 1,000 users every day on our platform, different from all over the world. Salesforce admins, sales professionals, developers, consultants, all of them, as well as we also offer consulting services. So where we do a lot of the Salesforce work as well with the AI, and we work with around 10 to 15 companies in that as well.
Something that I want to speak about in this whole thing is there's a lot of people, a lot of Salesforce admins, a lot of developers who are trying to start some business with AI and trying to build AI apps, AI agents, right? The AI agents are very, very hot right now. And you started a quite successful company in this, and I want to speak about like your whole approach, how someone can take an idea and go about starting a company in this, growing a company, going to the market, and all of these things. So let's say we have like a Salesforce admin and or Salesforce developer, and they have an idea for an AI app. What do they do? How do they go from there to start the actual company?
I think a lot of things that were analog or had to be done manually now can be done with AI. So the first thing they should do is like, what are the different sort of you know so let's say I'm trying to automate a particular task or build an app to help with solve a problem, right? What are the different steps that I would otherwise do in today's workflow before AI? So would I use a software? Would I use some software plus something I would do manually, plus let's say a combination of softwares? And once I've broken down that process into as small steps, as micro, something as simple as like I would export a CSV and upload it somewhere, right? Then the first thing they should do is try to reach out to companies that face that problem, right? Even maybe offer to do it for free, right? And try to automate simple, small steps with AI. Then you actually, build the flow, then the test cases, then the documentation after, then sort of the change logs.
Just one point also, a lot of the AI companies that are coming out, people tend to actually go for the capabilities first before the product. So, like, the tool is really great in summarizing. So, I'll create something that summarizes workflow, etc. Try to go the other way around, where so our journey with clientele wasn't because LLMs were coming out and we thought, let's build a tool using LLMs. It was because we ourselves were working a lot on Salesforce, and we just hated the experience where whenever I saw an error, I had to go to ChatGPT and it would give me a response which was not contextual to my Salesforce. So we faced this problem wherein we wanted an AI agent that was very contextual to what was being asked to do in Salesforce, and it knew exactly what was there in my Salesforce. So that is how clientele started. So a small piece of advice would be try to solve a problem that you are already facing.
You said something like capability first versus product. Can you tell more about this? What do you mean by that?
So when I say capability first, uh, the way people think right now, there is a preconceived notion, right? That what are AI agents really good at? AI agents are really good at summarizing your email, or AI agents are really good at text based things. AI agents are really good at, say, voice conversations a little bit if you go for an 11 labs or something like that. So what happens is people don't start about thinking that I want to build a product or build a company, but right now it's becoming more and more that I want to build an AI agent company. So I'll create an email summarizer. Now there are a lot of people doing that. So from our personal experience, what we realize is you should try solving a problem first, even if it's not solvable by AI right now.
How do you know though what if the problem that you have in mind is like worth solving?
I think the short answer is just talking to users. But I think often, like, it can be difficult for various reasons, right? Some people may be shy to reach out. The easiest way is to offer it as a service, and even for free for a few months. Like, let's say, you want to solve for loan sort of inquiries, right? For a financial credit union, right? Let's take that example of, and you want to build an AI agent to resolve those queries and in Salesforce, right? So then maybe just reach out to a financial union and say, hey, can I do this for you guys? Like, I'll work 8 hours free or whatever, every other day, right? And if it's a small enough company, then they'll let you. So then that gets you, like, talking to a lot of these sort of companies very quickly. So I think that's a good hack to, like, think about building agents.
I think this is really good advice. Just knowing the market basically and understanding what people actually want, right? And for that you need to be
Yeah,
kind of embedded in the market and actually working with people and working day to day.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see a lot of things that are happening there. And
exactly.
I would even go that far that say like everyone who's been working in Salesforce for like at least 5 years, they have an idea what kind of startup or a company they could build outside of the usual consulting companies or like education that I'm doing.
But to be fair, you do a great job, and there's a lot of scope in education. So
Yes.
that's not all a bad idea either, as well.
I think what I'm really interested in, like when people build something that is not only consulting, because like when you work, like you work as an admin or as a developer, you do the job and then you see, for example, that your boss is charging like 10 times that amount for the same
Yeah.
project, and you're like, what the hell, I just need to find other people, I'm gonna get all the 100% of the money. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
then it means I'm gonna be being freelancer or gonna start a consulting company. And then turns out that this is actually relatively hard and like very crowded space, right?
Mm.
This whole consulting thing, and it's quite a bloodbath there. So I'm always happy to see people building something else than just like consulting.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You did the consulting before, right? And then now this is your project that kind of like flowed out of your consulting experience, right?
Yeah. And our intention with consulting was also, to find something like that, right? So we thought to ourselves, AI is out here, right? And all countries, essentially, the biggest companies in the world are gonna be building this. So of course, in 5, 10 years, it's gonna be really, really incredible. So then what are some of those areas where, let's say, you can find gaps in the market? So through consulting, you're not just, learning about building something in Salesforce, you're also learning about a particular type of business, their processes. So if you're an admin, like you said, right, for 5 years in a company, you're also day to day seeing the different deals they're doing, the leads, the opportunities, how are the processes set up, how does a lead flow in, what are the sales steps. So you also are privy to that information, right? So you also over time develop a great understanding of that business and the industry. So I think that is something where, even if you're doing consulting, like let's say you do it for real estate companies, you do get to learn a lot about real estate and their processes. So you can find inefficiencies which you can then fix with AI. And so our intention of doing consulting was to even learn about different industries and figure out like how what the gaps are.
Do you feel any difference between like building consulting business and AI business?
There's a whole world of difference. Like this podcast would go on for like 2 hours if we were just going to look after the. When we were running the consulting business, that was relatively easier for us because, to be honest, there's not a lot of fact finding that you need to do. Everything is pretty standard. You get people. There's a bit of human resource management, but when you switch it out to an AI-led company, the problems that you face on day to day are entirely different. To be honest, when you're consulting, you have a defined scope that, okay, this is what I'm going to solve, this is what the client is paying for. Here, there is no scope. Here, you're figuring out everything from day one. You have to hire people who are traditionally not really there because this entire thing is so new. It has been 2, 3 years since we've had it. So engineers who totally understand it and can build it with you. So it's a bit harder, definitely, to actually run the AI company.
I'll tell you, there's also a big philosophical difference in how you build a product when it's an agent, because you're essentially giving a chat-based interface that is the best the world has right now. Almost every agent is some kind of a chat, right? So the as a function of that, right, like a lot of users are still like finding out how to use it in many ways. For us and even for others, right? Like let's say there are 4 use cases or 5 that we show on our platform, right? But there's 200 more things you can use the agent for. So that may not be intuitive to users. So I would say anyone, whether it's Salesforce admins, developers, other listeners, if they're sort of trying thinking of building an agent, like always think about how can you make that experience very intuitive, like with the interaction with the LLM, right? Like, and it can set wrong expectations, right? Like someone can come to my product and ask the LLM to tell them a story about ancient Rome, but because it is an LLM, it will give them some answer, right? But let's say there's 20 use cases which they may not try at all, and so I think the positioning or what you're offering has to be very clear.
I have actually this ancient Rome. It reminded me. I think I have like a test that I run on all AI and like AI agents. I asked it if it can eat a mattress. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But like I saw it somewhere on the internet and it stuck with me since that. And I judge like how good is AI of like following the internal instructions based on what it responds. If I can trick it into like some kind of strange response, then it doesn't really follow that well the internal instructions.
Mm.
And I could not trick Agent Force a single time. Agent Force is so stubborn. I tried it so many times to trick it from all the other ways, but Agent Force would not give up and would always try to actually say that this is not in the scope of what Agent Force can do.
And also, to be honest, that's one of the reasons, one of the shortcomings also in some of the recent projects that we're seeing, that the output is so structured and so defined when you're dealing with an agent force agent, is the issue really comes up uh, when you don't really know exactly what your customer is going to ask. And a lot of times it so happens that it's a legitimate query. Like, of course, eating a mattress is not a legitimate query, but even a lot of legitimate queries also get flagged as I cannot really respond to this. This is which won't happen with a normal, say, Chat GPT or Claude agent.
Do you see Agent Force as your like a little bit of a competitor in this whole thing?
I think we're like very complementary to Agent Force. So any so if you think about Agent Force, right, like to make it really work, and a lot of companies have spent a lot of money and not found it successful. To make it really work, you need like really good metadata and data, right? So that is something that some people still need to do it manually or prepare themselves. It also needs really amazing prompt engineering, right? And that is something clientele AI, our agent can really help with. So I think like the way we think of it is you can use our agent to build an agent force agent. And so look at us more like an internal solution, an agent force for your end customers.
I have one thing that is always on my mind whenever I hear anything about like AI or try any AI tools is that especially if something is creating some kind of flows or apex automatically, right? What you mentioned right now, I immediately imagine like a junior Salesforce developer or junior Salesforce admin going to clientele and asking endlessly to create one flow after another and sitting weeks and creating. And then this company is going to hire me. I'm going to look at the work and I'm going to be, oh my God, like I will never ever be able to debug everything that was that like this junior basically put out with the AI in the org. So one of my biggest concerns always with those tools is that they will produce so much of like technical depth that it's going to be basically impossible to debug all of this and to like clean it up, and you need to scrap it completely and just write it from scratch. What do you say about this?
So the way we've designed our agent, it's supposed to be like a colleague. It's supposed to, brainstorm with you. So before, let's say, creating a flow, it actually does look for existing flows and things, pieces of code that can be refactored and things that could be used, to do something. So a lot of our customers use our agent to actually reduce technical debt, because you can audit your org. You can ask things like, hey, why do I have so many Apex triggers? What do they do? Are they redundant? It can set up debug logs and things like that. So you can, say, hey, am I facing this error, whatever error in Salesforce? Can you help me figure out why? And that's something that, it's designed to do.
And if someone wanna build, like, let's say someone wanna build an MVP of AI tool or something like this, what do they need to learn? Do they need to learn like those prompting techniques? Do they need to learn the context what we discussed so far? What's the main skill basically of building those apps?
So I can give you like a very, very concise answer. And essentially, like, the first thing you should learn is prompting. And the worst way to learn prompting could be to Google how to prompt. The best way to learn is essentially, try to start doing day-to-day work, or like I said, right, the micro tasks you're trying to solve for. Try to prompt in many ways, and think like you're talking to a colleague. So let's say if I was to say, Igor, uh, what is the meaning of your name, right? You would have an answer by the dictionary. But if I say, hey, take your time and really think about it and reflect on it and tell me, you're going to have a much better answer for me, right? And then let's say I go even philosophical and say, what does it mean to be you, right? You would give me even deeper answer. Same way with LLMs, right? Like, this, what I described is chain of thought. This is a prompting technique. So it's like, just how you think of it, like you have a really highly intelligent 18-year-old you're trying to, explain something to and get them to do it for you. Would you say, give me the first answer you get, or would you say, take some time, think about it? So that's basically what prompting is. The more you do it, the better you get. And think about it like talking to a really, really high IQ 19-year-old.
Wait 1 second. For some reason, it showed me that Sahil, you stopped the recording. I don't know why. It stopped. Okay. So one thing that is that is again on my mind always when I think about any AI businesses, and I'm very curious what you think about this. Like, when I imagine how quick AI progress, right? I think, Neil, this is what you said before. Sahil, I'm not sure. So what you said before is that AI progressing very quick, right? That you look at the AI and what was not possible today, maybe in 5 months is already possible, right? When I look at this and I think, okay, where it's going to be in like 3 years, I can I almost cannot imagine what it won't be able to do, right? If we if we think about ChatGPT, it was released, I think, in the beginning of 2022. So it's been like 3 years, or almost four, but like it's nothing, 3 years, right? And we have already so much progress in this AI LM space. So what I'm kind of afraid about is that no matter what kind of startup you're building, and the same goes for Agentforce as well, right? No matter what kind of startup you build, at some point, ChatGPT will be able to do it better than your startup or your tech that you're building, right? Because the whole promise, what they're trying to build is AGI, basically like a digital human, right? Something that will be able to perform any type of work that you can imagine on the internet, right? And that will mean also that it can do what you can do, right? And that kind of cuts off for me like this whole, like future thinking of AI businesses. What do you guys think about this?
To be very honest, I think so. It's something that everybody's afraid of, or whoever is building a company. But what you also need to realize is there's a law of generalization. What happens when you make a general agent? ChatGPT is a general agent, right? It's not specified for a particular task. So for companies that are building in specific verticals, so for anybody who's trying to start a company right now, you need to realize if ChatGPT becomes really good, and at the same amount of time, you also become really good at the task that you do because you're using essentially their own APIs. But how you communicate to the user, how you tell the user, what you actually show the user, that is going to be the end goal of a difference of how the user interacts with the product. What does he know? What does he see? Because when you're building something really general, it's not really possible to be very specific. So over a course of 3 years, eventually it won't be what capabilities you have, what technological advancements you have, because everybody will have the same technological capabilities. Everybody will be using the same agents. A- AI computation, AI power would kind of become commoditized. At the end of this 3 year period, what is going to win the race would be the products, would be how, what is the kind of interface you build, what is the, how easily do you get the value that people want. Right now also people have wildly different ways of using AI. Still there are people who would say that ChatGPT does not give good responses, and some would say that it helped them complete a PhD paper. So there's a whole spectrum of how people use these tools, and at the very end of the day, it's only going to be the product that will differentiate.
Let's talk then marketing. How do you guys approach marketing? Do you believe that the product is going to market itself? Do you actively market? What's your approach?
So the way we think about marketing is, of course, there's a heavy focus on product, that people should be able to share the product. And to be honest, a good product speaks for itself. So my entire goal is, if it can save you 2 hours a day, there's no way you're not showing it off in front of your friends. But along with that, the second thing also comes in terms of traditional marketing really doesn't work right now, especially for people like us. Like email marketing is dead. You're not reading the 100 spam emails that you get every day. People are also exhausted.
I
You
disagree.
are? Okay,
My whole
sure.
business is email marketing. People have been
Perfect.
saying that email marketing is dead for years, and it's still
Yeah,
freaking working. But I get what you mean. That the traditional marketing, like for me also, like in terms of like traditional whatever SEO and this type of like marketing where you define your competitors and then do marketing analysis and all this, that's dead.
yeah, absolutely. So what we realized very early on was it was a lot better where if we could just share our story and tell people what we are experiencing. We do recognize that we are at probably one of the very cutting edge of the kind of experiences that we are having, where we are automating a lot of things are changing, specifically in a domain where a lot hasn't changed for quite some time, which is Salesforce. So we thought that we'll just share our journey, and we'll be authentic. We'll tell people exactly what our failures are, where we are going wrong, and we'll try to bring them along with our journey. So LinkedIn has really worked for us, because that is also the place where we actively seek feedback. We are active. It's also one of the places that has shaped the product the way it is right now.
How do you deal with the negativity when you start marketing anything on LinkedIn?
It's kind of like human psychology, right? If there is something negative, it affects you a lot more than if there's something positive. So whenever I'm reading to comments, whenever I'm replying to comments, I try to do a 1:3. So I will reply to a negative comment, because of course if there is criticism, I'm going to take it. But first I'll find out three positive comments and I'll reply to them, just to keep my sanity in place.
I just, the reason why I ask is because I went to the comments on I think one of the posts that you Neil did, and I saw like people are trying, like to say like different things, not necessarily bad, not necessarily negative, but like just not pleasant to read as a business owner. And I get also sometimes those type of messages. What I do, I just delete those people and ban. that, that's
Yeah,
that's that's why I
yeah,
ask how you deal with this, because anyone, literally anyone who is posting on internet is always gonna get it.
absolutely.
I have very bold and very crazy predictions about AI in Salesforce. I don't know if anyone want to hear it, but like it's first of all, I think Salesforce might lose the AI race, and I think that all the companies that kind of don't participate in this AI race or don't win at this will in some way lose, and will end up less relevant than they used to be. And I think this is going to be the fate of Salesforce, because I just don't see Salesforce becoming the AI age, the AI super company, because Salesforce was famous for not being that great at AI before. That's what I think about AI in Salesforce, and this is why I'm interested in actually people creating AI businesses on top of the Salesforce and then maybe selling it to the Salesforce. This is I'm almost sure that either you guys or your competitors or someone in this space who's building AI agent is gonna be sold to Salesforce, 100%. And I think there's also right now like a big opportunity for someone to build something like more AI CRM, but at the same time, you cannot replace Salesforce by being AI CRM, right? You need something else.
Yeah.
But there's definitely an opportunity there that I think is not exploited completely to 100%, not by Salesforce, not by other companies.
I think so. There's a huge market in terms of the enterprise CRM space because you do have incumbent CRMs coming up which are AI native. You can have an ATO, you can have a HubSpot, etc. HubSpot also has some AI features. Salesforce also has them. But what is very interesting is Salesforce has a hold over the enterprise space, and their systems need to be a lot more complex than a simple CRM implementation, right?
Yes.
Which Salesforce allows you to do. You kind of need to think of Salesforce like a block of Legos. Salesforce allows you to build anything that you want on top of it, which is what enterprises need. And there is also a push from enterprises right now to actually heavily invest in CRM. So I'm actually interested in how that entire journey plans out, where you also need very complex capabilities and you also need an AI that does it.
And if we go back to when how Salesforce started, right? Like the first Salesforce marketing was anti-software, something around this, right? Where they said,
Yeah,
okay, we are the new way of dealing with the software. We are the cloud. You don't need anymore
cloud.
your big servers that you're self-hosting. There are some kind of systems, and that basically was kind of like a breakthrough in the CRM and this cloud thing. So there was a lot of companies before that were operating on like SAP, for example, on this whole server thing, and they got disrupted by Salesforce, right? So to think that Salesforce as a big company cannot be disrupted in the same way as Salesforce did like 30 years ago, I think that should come. I think that should come at some point.
But I have faith in Mark, to be honest.
You have faith?
Mark tends to find out solutions.
Exactly. Check it out. Check it out. And if you're Mark Benioff, then please call the guys and buy for at least a few billions. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining.